Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, I wanted to discuss the importance on giving yourself more grace during your lifetime. At whatever time, at least when you're listening to this episode, I know it's difficult when you're younger and you're a teenager and you feel like any mistake you make or any embarrassment you have or any failure you feel as though during that time that's the end of the world, you know? But it's not. And some of us carry that into adulthood. And I feel as though there's so many pressures to keep up with what everybody else feels like you should be doing that we don't give ourselves enough grace. So I want to talk about that today. All right, so let's get into it. I realized that a couple of my podcasts this season has been kind of heavy. And I do not want to get lost in that, even though I feel like my last couple of episodes have been things that need to be addressed. And you already know that I believe that you can only get to true healing through the truth. Sorry, I got a bit tongue-tied, but through the truth. It's only right that you address certain things, and the first step in any program when it comes to healing is acknowledging that certain things are a problem. But there's another side of that, right? Because you don't want to get to the point where, like, I feel like a lot of people are feeling during this time, like, what is the point of life if I have to go through all of this struggle? And that's a very serious question that only you can answer that through your own journey and through your own process, fortunately. But yeah, we're in difficult times. So you can find yourself looking at all that is wrong. And a lot of times in the state of depression, you go through I'm going to just, something happened bad today, I'm not feeling well, and then you just start going through this cycle of just grabbing everything that's wrong in your life, and you feel like you're drowning in it, right? But what you want to learn how to do, when you can do this through therapy, or if you have a life coach, or you know a support group that you can go to, you learn the process of, instead of grabbing everything that's wrong and that's bad, start to look at what is good, what makes you happy, what are your joys in life. And when we talk about the importance of showing yourself more grace, okay? A lot of us put way too much pressure on keeping up with what everybody expects us to do. And a lot of times you're hearing the criticism, oh, you should be here by now, or you should have this, or you should have that. Or, when it comes to families, why don't you have a kid yet? Sometimes when you already have a kid, well, where's number 2? Where's number 3? Where's number 4? Or why aren't you married yet? Or why aren't you, when you have those expectations placed on you, You have to make a decision whether you're going to take them on or not. And if you feel within your heart, okay, now is not the right time, and only you know what you've been through and what you can handle and where you're at, give yourself more grace, give yourself more credit. Like, I think when I started the podcast, which was during lockdown, when we first got locked down for the pandemic, I thought about everybody having to sit their behind down now. Like, really sit down. And there was a time where people looked at their jobs, looked at what was in place. They looked at life differently because they saw so many people dying from uh, the virus, and really questioned their purpose, and it scared a lot of people, but it also opened a lot of people's eyes into, okay, well, what am I really doing with my life? And a lot of businesses started opening. People started businesses. A lot of people quit their job. A lot of people, decided that, listen, I'm just going to have a work from home job. Forget this. A lot of people had to adjust now with childcare because, the schools were closed. So that was a whole big adjustment. Like, we went through a lot. Okay. And we're still trying to recover from that world crisis that we went through. And I feel as though we should be looking at it in a way as, okay, I really have to live for me, you know? And I need to take off some of this pressure because I don't, after going through that, and those of us who are still here and you've survived it, or if you've had the virus before, or you went this whole time not having the virus, um, or had to make some type of adjustment based off of the pandemic, listen, give yourself some grace, okay? Like, you made it this far for a reason. So give yourself permission to not have it all together all the time because you're human, you know? And the pressures, like, even, I gotta be honest, like, starting families now, things are different. Like, you only allowed to have one person in the delivery room when you used to have, mom, dad, everybody um, in there. And you have to worry about, like, okay, the hospital has COVID patients, so I want to make sure they take precautions so my baby doesn't have COVID. Like, things are different, things are tougher now. So the expectations of just taking it and pushing through, I don't think that should be the norm. I think that's like a negative trait that we had passed down from generations to generations. But now I feel like we should be looking at life a tad bit more different, right? When it comes to grace and when it comes to living for yourself. I know that I express on just about every show the importance of taking care of your mental health, right? And I think that it aligns with the step of giving yourself some grace. You do not have to do this by yourself, okay? You do not. That is a choice. You do not have to. You have to take that pressure off, okay? Um, whether you are single, married, young, middle age, elder, get support. Keep support as long as you need it. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? I think that's also a negative trait feeling like once you get a certain age or once you reach certain milestones that you're just supposed to do them by yourself and have the wherewithal to have all the answers and figure it out. When you don't have all the answers and you hit a roadblock, you're beating up on yourself. Okay? Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Get a therapist, right? You can have a therapist under your insurance. You can pay out of pocket if you can afford it. You can go to support groups. Some support groups are only $10. Um, you know, a month or $20 or something like that. Do it. Have it, right? I know there's also a need to feel like you gotta get permission from other people that are very close to you, like family members, your parents, or whoever. You feel like you need permission to have support, right? Or permission to say, okay, I need to put this down and take a break. Nope, stop doing that. Okay? You give yourself permission to have that support, to set up some boundaries and protect yourself, to say, okay, I want to go back to school, or I don't want children, or I don't want to get married. I want to be free. I want to be single, or I want to travel, or I don't want to go to college. I want to start a business, or whatever, or I want to work at the same company forever as long as they treat me good. Whatever you want to do, you have to really work towards giving yourself grace to do that. And it's not always the easiest thing. Sometimes we have to be taught. And like I said, sometimes we need support from outside as far as professional help, mental health, right? When it comes to therapist or a life coach, or going to a support group, sometimes we need outside support from people who had placed certain expectations on us. And a lot of people, based on the natural state of society and how society works, a lot of us have been programmed to look at certain milestones as, oh, if this person has reached this milestone, they're doing good. Like if they have the car to drive the kids and the spouse, they're doing good, and that equals happiness. But that's not always the case, and everybody doesn't have to look at reaching those milestones as their happiness or the determining factor that they fit into this society, right? You don't have to do that. You don't. All right? There's a study that is out that shows that actually single people, they live longer and they have less health issues. Okay? Single people without children, like I don't know, maybe it's because they marching to the beat of their own drum. Not saying that you shouldn't want to be married or you shouldn't want to have a life partner. If that's what you want, go ahead and go for it, but don't put the pressure, societal pressure, on yourself as if you're a failure because you don't have that yet, right? And if that's something that you want, something that you truly want, and you're not using it as, a determining factor of whether I'm deserving of happiness, or I'm a good person, or I'm established. If you're not using it as that, and you want to be with somebody, how about you give yourself grace and say, hey, let me make sure that my life and my dreams and my aspirations outside of being with somebody is taken care of, that I'm putting forth that step, because the best love that you can be for somebody is to come to them whole and not come to them broken, not come to them where you have low self-esteem and you need them to complete you. No, you want them to add to what you already have. That is the basis of a healthy relationship, which they don't teach you. They just say, okay, by this age, you should be with somebody, but they don't tell you that you need to come to them whole. They don't tell you that you're supposed to break a lot of them generational curses before you have kids so they don't have to carry on and try to break it themselves because it becomes heavier each generation. That's something that I truly believe it does. It just becomes worse each generation when you don't resolve certain things that are negative traits, and especially if you don't even realize it's a negative trait in your family, right? Do you have a history of angry men in your family or angry women, and they have children and their children have gone through so much abuse? Like, no, okay? That should be a key factor, determining factor of let's stop normalizing this trauma and let me work on myself before I have kids, because my family is there's a lot of stuff they haven't addressed, and I don't want to be adding to the cycle, right? I want to break the cycle. So that pressure that you put on yourself to fit in, right? Allow yourself to have support to do it. If you can't, do it on your own. Redefine what your happiness is going to be. And the only person that should tell you whether it's good or bad is you, based off of you and how you feel and what you want in this lifetime. Depression is at an all-time high, and I don't I think the more we do work to break the stigma around mental health, right? I think it'll get better. I really do. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the state of the country right now, the state of the world taking this major hit. I also believe a lot of it has to do with, um, sorry for the noise in the background. I'm recording this actually on Friday. So I apologize for the noise in the background, guys. I gotta get some sound dampening curtains for my office that I'm recording in. Cause I usually record at night, so it's less noisy. But I wanted to record it this morning because I just got my second dose of the vaccine, and I usually record on Thursdays, but I was I needed to rest yesterday, so you're getting this a little bit later in the day on the Friday, but I'm keeping up. I've been doing good. But back to what I was saying, a lot of it has to do with, I feel like, the cycles that keep getting passed down and passed down and passed down. I really do. I truly believe that that is a factor that haven't been dealt with. And I think when a new generation comes in, they're starting to realize and they're starting to wake up, and they don't want to be a part of it. Okay? And I actually think that's a beautiful thing. I love what Gen Z is doing. Millennials started it off, of course. No offense to any previous generations, but I really believe that we're heading more forward into breaking the stigma around mental health and seeing better days, breaking societal norms so people don't feel so much pressure. But you just have to find your tribe, and your tribe is out there in whatever you believe in, okay? Whatever type of life you want to live, you're not by yourself. And when it comes to depression and suicide, a lot of the times you feel like you're by yourself and you don't want to be a burden, so you don't open up. No, give yourself permission, because you're not by yourself and you're not going through that just so you can suffer through it and just have to deal with it. No, there's a bigger picture. And I'm pretty sure, I talk about this all the time, you're going to meet somebody that has a story similar to yours, and they're going to only listen to you because of probably who you look like, what you've been through. And they're going to need to see that change, right? They're going to need to see that there's a way out. So your life has purpose, even your pain, okay? Even your pain has value. So you want to make sure that you've truly given your all, and that you allow yourself to have access to the resources that you deserve to have access to. Okay? So that part, I mean, we have seen the suicide rate jump up. You've also seen, suicides in the news of two beauty queens. And a lot of that is um, passed down things that I feel like sometimes people just feel like it's just too hard, and a lot of that does have to do with the programming and how you feel about the situation. A lot of people are still protecting their abusers, especially if they're their parents. Like, you still protecting them, and you're still doing oh, they did the best they could. Yeah, that may be true for some people, but that doesn't mean that it still didn't affect you, and that you can't say that, hey, this hurt me, right? This hurt me, and I want to work through it. I want to heal, but I want to let you know that this was wrong. You can still do that. There's a lot of people that's not doing that and just taking it in and feeling like it's all their fault when it isn't. Okay? There's a lot of people that go to therapy just to say they went and don't actually do the work. No, you actually have to do the work. It's going to benefit you in the long run. It's for you, right? It's for you, you know? So also, when I talk about that grace and we talk about forgiveness and things of that nature, if you're not ready to forgive, you don't have to. Okay? You're not ready to forgive, you don't have to, but do the work so that you can heal. It's not enough just to say that something happened to you. Yes, that's the first step, but the next step is healing, right? Giving yourself permission to heal that and to learn how to not let it continuously destroy your life, right? If you need to set up a boundary, if it looks like, okay, I don't talk to this person as much, or I don't talk to this person at all, or I don't talk to this person about this thing, do it, okay? Do it. You deserve to have that. I don't care who it is, right? But I'm sorry if I went off on a rant and I bounced from here to there when I'm talking about the depression and the suicide, because there's so many reasons why these things happen, and it's hard to put all of it into one, because you never know, and I have to have the person in my face and know their whole entire story to get to the bottom of it. There's many reasons, so I'm just giving you like the basis of certain things that maybe people may not be thinking about, right? Sometimes you give other people more grace than you do yourself, okay? And that's when we do the self-loathing, and our self-esteem becomes diminished, and we stop fighting for ourselves when we put other people before ourselves, right? I know they say, okay, my spouse is supposed to be number one, or my children are supposed to be number one. Yeah, they're number one compared to everybody else, but you, right? You have to choose you first. Healthy decisions now, okay? healthy, healthy steps. Not as in, oh, I need to choose this bottle of alcohol. Like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your mental health, right? And you loving yourself first. Love, true love, which means you taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, right? That's what putting yourself first is. And you cannot give from an empty cup. And there's too many of us running around pouring into other things and not pouring into ourselves. Okay? We got to stop that. You have to give yourself permission to take a break, take a beat, and receive support. You're not a burden. There's people that love to do this. I love doing it. Okay? Love helping clients step into their greatness, step into their purpose, heal from their trauma, right? Fight for themselves. I love it, right? So you're not a burden to me or any other mental health professional. Come to us, right? Anybody that runs groups, come be a part. You give us joy, you give us purpose when you sit in our chair and you allow us to hold the space for you and hold your hand through the process. There's nothing wrong with that. We love it. So you're not a burden to us, okay? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I know it's easier said than done based off of programming, and my heart aches for those who felt like it was too much. I understand it. Okay? I understand that, yes, at times it could be too much and you can feel like, what is the purpose? And you're drowning. I get that, right? I've had those feelings oftentimes since I was a little girl, that I barely spoke about. And it's real, especially being a black woman, being a little black girl and feeling like there was, this element of something that I can't change and that I was always, based off of the color of my skin, going to be judged for it. I talk about it all the time. Coming to the realization of that is depressing. Okay? It is. But I live for the moment when I see somebody that looks like me and I'm able to tell them that I'm making it through and I love me and I have purpose. I'm here, right? I live for those days. So, yes, toughness, okay? It's tough. It's difficult. Life isn't easy. Life in itself is difficult, right? There are evils in the world, but you got to go out there and make your own story and make it work for you. But start with giving yourself some grace, okay? Start with breaking through societal norms and determine it based off of who you are. And unfortunately, we wouldn't know what light is without darkness. we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Okay? So, I hope I'm not annoying you guys too much with this noise in the background. I forgot how noisy it can be during the day. But I wanted to come on here and try to give you guys some inspiration. Because these are topics like, the last couple of episodes, topics that I gotta address, okay? I love being a voice for the voiceless and people who can't defend themselves and people who just don't have the words or don't know. This is education, okay? I want to educate people, but I also want to give you guys some hope, you know? And I'm going to make sure that at least when I do have heavy topics that I do bring in some light and some support, and that I'm hoping that you all are still motivated to keep going, you know, to keep going with your dreams and your aspirations while you're here. You know, if you're going to be here, make it worth your while, right? Make it beautiful. But you can only get there through the truth and by loving yourself, okay? This one isn't going to be that long. This isn't going to be that long. And let me see. Is there any other gems I want to drop? Yeah, just grace. That's it. Just grace. Advocate for yourself. I'm learning how to do that better now. That's actually one of my goals with my therapist. Advocating for myself, standing up for myself. You know, especially when I'm telling other people to do it. But not just, you know, in the literal sense, but in every aspect. You know, if something hurts, say it. Right? Something bothers you, say it. If something ain't right, say it. Okay? Fight for yourself. And if you're having a hard time doing it on your own, give yourself that grace. Okay? To allow somebody to support you through that and show you how to do it. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. At all. Okay? I'm rooting for you over here. I'm rooting for you on this side. And if you're still breathing, you still got a chance to get it right. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm continue to fight and be in my truth and honesty and inspire those who need it, you know, and are willing to receive it and are ready to do the work. Okay? Thank you guys. Thank you for listening, and continue to live and be great. The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday. If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.